Don't panic, you haven't come to the wrong video. However, you may remember that a little while ago now, I did some videos about these, which are of course micro machines for the Babylon 5 universe. However, micro machines did not restrict themselves to spacecraft from Babylon 5. No indeed. They also did spacecraft from Star Trek. In fact, they did quite a wide range of craft from Star Trek, and as you can see, this is one of their movies boxes. So these are the original generation of movies, motion picture, Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, Voyage Home, and so on. And I went for this one in particular because I already had a sort of big multi-pack, of which there'll be a video on the channel that you can have a look for. But it was missing some of the models, and I quite fancied displaying some of these little models alongside my Eaglemoss models, which I'm already doing. So I am going to open this pack, and I'm not going to keep it sealed because I want to display them properly. And this one, as you can see, includes a Klingon bird of prey, which featured in Star Trek 3 for the first time anyway. And it occurred to me that I have quite a few flavours of birds of prey, so keep your eyes peeled for other videos on the channel featuring birds of prey, because it has occurred to me I can now do a fair few of them for you. But I'm going to get this opened to have a look at the little models in here, in all together, not just the bird of prey, obviously. And you can, I should just say something about well, let's have a look at the back of the box first before I go about trying to subtly open it. So you can see there we've got an Enterprise, which I don't have, a Klingon battle cruiser, which is probably, it's probably a D7, I think, judging by the original series era. And the old style Romulan bird of prey as well, also from the original series. And then the one that I'm holding in my hand, obviously, is the movies collection, which is the USS Excelsior, a Klingon bird of prey, and the USS Reliant from the Wrath of Khan. Love the Reliant as a design, and obviously, you know, we see it reused in terms of it sort of developing into the style of the Nebula class in the sort of Next Generation era. But we also see a lot of Reliant class ships being used throughout the Deep Space Nine and Next Generation era as well, getting various sort of upgrades and so on as they go. And finally, we had a Next Generation collection. Now, some of these appeared in the bigger box that I got off eBay a while back now, and they're a Klingon Vorcha attack cruiser, a Borg cube, and a Romulan warbird. And they are all in my big Eaglemoss display cabinet at the moment, alongside either their bigger XL brethren, or just sort of generally in the right kind of place. So my Borg cube, for example, lives alongside my Delta Flyer and my Voyager XL ships, just because it can, basically. Sadly, Eaglemoss didn't, well, I said they didn't do it. I certainly don't have it. I don't think Eaglemoss ever did an XL Vorcha before they folded. I think there was a D7 or a Katinga, but I never managed to get my hands on it, unfortunately, which is should be one I should look out for, really. But anyway, so let's get into this now. It's fairly standard fare from Micro Machines, but they all come with little display stands there, as you can see. And again, they've summarised the ones that are going to be available. Now, if I'm reasonably careful with this, I can probably just get my thumb in here and try and flip it up, and then I can kind of retain the packaging in reasonable condition. But I know this is heresy because I should be using a bladed instrument to be doing this, but this one's really well stuck down, fair dues to it. This is Micro Machine set 65825 for reference. So I'm just going to try and let over the edges like that. Actually, my thumb hasn't done too bad a job. As I say, this is strictly for the purposes of display, so I'm not too concerned about this getting battle damage. The Reliant's already made a bid for freedom, so I'll have a look at that one first. So there she is. I mean, these are very, very plasticky little models. They're not, they're not die-cast in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you can see they are quite quite dinky. But in fairness to them, you can very clearly see the registry. Yes, there we go. So you can see it's USS Reliant NCC 1864, and you can see the level of detailing for its size is actually off the wall. I mean, it really is really well detailed for its size. You can see the shuttle launch bays at the back there. Sorry, this webcam is not exactly rigged for extremely close-up work, but you can see the level of detailing that's there. So they're not just, you know, they could have just gone for the sort of the plain plastic approach almost if they'd chosen to. But you can see, you know, the whole. I mean, looking at it with my glasses on, the whole segmenting is there. Ah, there we go. The whole segmenting there is there, and it's really good. You know, there is a lot of detail in there for such a tiny little model. So fair dues to them. You know, they did take care to do a really decent job with them. So let's pop them down there. And now here's the bird of prey. Now this has some distinct advantages already over the Eaglemoss version. I mean, you can see there's nice coloration on the wings there, because the Klingons do tend to have some bronzing on the wings of the bird of prey, just to sort of vary it. It's largely green. There's a little bit of detailing on the ridges, on the sort of pilot, you know, on the top of the wings there. I'm not quite sure what you would call that. It's just kind of the primary hull section, I guess. And they've coloured the impulse engine red, which you can just about make out there. And again, there's detailing on the underside as well. So again, really well done. And what I quite like about this one is that the disruptors are not really firm; they're solid. My one constant niggle about the Eaglemoss bird of prey is various, of all sizes, is that their disruptors are incredibly easy to destroy and bend and snap off. And I've had to repair them on more than one occasion. And indeed, as someone very very cleverly put it, one of my bird of prey is now only capable of pew rather than pew pew, because it's lost one of its disruptors permanently because my cleaners apparently didn't clean it, and yet when I arrived home it was missing one of its disruptors. So allegedly they didn't touch it. Allegedly, I think they did. And worse still, they seem to have hoovered up the disruptor that I might otherwise have been able to glue back on. Not that I'm bitter about that in the slightest. So that is, it may be, just got a comparison off screen. Yes, that is the smallest bird of prey in my collection officially. I'll show you it up against another one in comparison on another video, but you'll have to watch the other video, which is only fair after all. Now these the stands here are actually easier to get out than the stands were for the Babylon 5 ships, because I think they're just held in by their cardboard. So that's actually quite useful, because I had to undo all sorts of ties and such like, as I recall, for the Babylon 5 version. So, but they're nice. Again, you know, the stand is all little attention to detail. They've all got their ship names on them, so if you want to pop them back in the box at any point, you could do. And finally, now this will be interesting. Okay, yeah. This is relevant to another video that I'll do shortly for you. But this is the Excelsior, and we see her. I want to say that we see her first in Star Trek 3. And I think we do see her first in Star Trek 3. Yeah, I don't think we see her in 2. But she is, at the time, she's an experimental new class of starship with the transwarp drive, in theory. She later ends up being used as a sort of, you know, a major sort of workhorse, like the Reliant, really, the Miranda class. So she is Sulu's first command, as far as I'm aware. And again, this one is quite nice because it's quite firm. The nacelles are notoriously long and therefore prone to making their pylons bend, but because this is all plastic, the whole thing is quite light. And again, like the Reliant, she's very well detailed. There you go. So you can see again, you know, very clear registry. Now, interesting, I think in Star Trek 3 she has an NX registry because she's experimental, but I think that the NCC registry that she's carrying there is the one that she eventually gets, possibly even by the end of that movie. I'm not sure, but I will show you soon something else which I'll put a little bit of research on actually before I do the video, just so I can establish what the overall crack is with her registry number, because I seem to have a few variants of it, so I'm interested to see what the explanation is for that. But it's you know, it's a nice little display piece, and I have an XL. In fact, the XL Excelsior from Eaglemoss was one of the first Eaglemosses that I got. I got an XL Klingon Bird of Prey as well as my first one, which really sold me on Eaglemoss as a whole, because the level of detail on that was completely off the scale. It was incredible. But I really like these. And I like the fact they've got clear stands for display purposes as well, because I think that's a very clever idea. In fact, I'm just going to double check which way round I'm supposed to attach this, because I often confuse myself. Yeah, so the stands are supposed to go, so for reference, the stands are supposed to go like that, so that the diagonal is kind of behind the ship. And that just lets the ships angle upwards a little bit themselves as well. So the irony is that the bird of prey that's in this collection does not actually at any point engage any of these ships. In the films, ironically enough, it's only in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country do we see it taking on the Excelsior. And I'm not sure that was sort of within the time frame that these sets were still being sold. That might have come afterwards, I suspect. Although that said, they do include Next Generation ships, so actually maybe it wasn't. So you know, but canon-wise, certainly I don't think you ever see the Reliant on screen with any of these at any point. So they are all their own sort of. That one probably stands apart, but obviously it is a major ship in Star Trek 2 for obvious reasons. If you've seen it, which I recently did in the cinema. Bizarrely enough, I actually saw a remastered version of it on its anniversary in the cinema, which was really interesting actually. And it was a sort of the director's cut as well, so I think it was a longer version than I've tended to see in the past. So that was interesting. So there we go. So it's a nice little set, and they'll join some of the others, as I've said, with my Eaglemoss collection, just as a sort of a reference point. And it's just interesting because these predate the Eaglemoss ones by, you know, sort of 20 odd years at least. So it's quite amusing to see how far they've come. But of their sort, I think these micro machines were brilliant, because they had a decent range of ships, and they're really well detailed as well. They're not just, you know, they're not rubbish in any way, shape or form. So yeah, I mean, you can. I think they're getting relatively pricey, but these weren't ridiculously expensive from eBay, and they do tend to come packed still as well. So you know, it's worth getting a few to have a look at if you're so inclined. So as I say, this is going to be one of a series of little videos I do, and I'm going to I'll do a final sort of comparison of the various birds of prey that I have, just so you can see how it's evolved over time. But I'm going to do some individual videos of some of the stuff that I've got recently as well first. So probably a little while before I do. Well, I'll say a little while. I might get it done today, so you might see it later on. But that's it for now on this front. So thanks for watching, and do subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff, and I will see you later.